First, let us notice that the attention. One psychologist defines attention as the focusing of consciousness. Satan got the attention of Eve. He got her to look at the forbidden fruit and then to meditate and reason concerning the results from the eating of it. That is, the false conclusions concerning the results. He called her attention to its appearance and no doubt to its beauty, its attractiveness. It is the look, the sound, the smell, the touch, the attention that forms the first stages of temptation. It is the sense of beauty and worth of an article, the attractiveness that get hold of the attention. This is the beginning of temptation. A man approaches you and calls you an ugly name. Another meets you who owes you a just debt and refuses to pay you. A man harms your family or injures your good name. Their conduct attracts your attention and soon you are thinking about them, meditating, condemning their conduct and pitying yourself. Satan will endeavour to get you to wish them evil, which will mean your own downfall, inwardly if not outwardly. Think no evil. Be cunning as serpents, but gentle as doves. Think about what, say like on YouTube, and somebody throws you a nasty comment. They're expecting you to either submit or throw a nasty comment, right, at them in retaliation. But think again. Think no evil. Do it subtly. Yeah. Do it another way. Stay cool as a cabbage in snow. Okay. Be cunning like a serpent in your reply. You can ask Chat GPT or similar. Put your intended reply or your retort in it and ask it. How should I reply to this nasty comment or this comment? And it will advise you. You can also, we say first pray to God and ask. You always put God first, and then that's a secondary motion you can do with AI. And I'll tell you, it's probably better to say this. The old saying, don't feed the trolls, so forth, because it's either a person wanting to argue with you, they want some attention, or they're a troll, or something along those lines, atheist, whatever. Okay. Think no evil. Here is the danger of the billboard, the movie, the picture that would open the way for Satan to enter. Watch the attention. When your attention begins to be focused upon any object that will lead in a wrong direction, catch yourself at once. Turn the attention. You are master. You own and control your own thinking. Direct the mind aright. Okay, remember when God spoke to Cain in the Bible, he said, your evil Lord, your as evil as, or sin is waiting at the door, okay, the gate. It wishes to come and enter you and then overcome you, master you, control you. You have to master it. Again, you are master. You are the master. You own and control your own thinking. Direct the mind aright. Second, Satan, through the power of attention, seeks to arouse desire in the heart and mind, with hope that he may influence the soul to seek satisfaction for that desire by some wrong method. It may be a desire to possess something of value, a desire for food or for money, a desire to protect what you consider a personal right. It might be a desire to see an evildoer punished, which could be right and proper, but there is a way for the punishment to come. And that way is not by personal revenge. This is the wrong method. The desire aroused may be good within itself that arises through attention, but it is to be guarded. Third, there is the furthest effort on the part of Satan through the attention and the desire aroused through the attention to influence the will to act. If he can get the will to act uniting with a desire or feeling to satisfy that feeling or desire unlawfully, he has succeeded in his object, namely to get one to do wrong, and thus lose the smiles and approval of God and of his own soul. Men cannot save themselves, but let us not forget that man must cooperate in his own salvation, and let us not underestimate the position the will has in our getting saved and in keeping saved. We must say yes to God when we get right, and the will must keep on saying yes. That is the attitude of man toward the gospel and the will of God if he hopes to keep saved. It costs no less to keep right than it does to get right. Opposition towards sin, and consent toward God are ever necessary. How to resist temptation. How to resist temptation. How to successfully resist temptation is a matter of fundamental importance to every child of God. If we fail here, we lose the fight and miss the crown. It will encourage us always to remember that God has promised that He will not suffer us to be tempted beyond our strength to bear it, and that He will always make a way of escape for us. It has been stated already that God made Adam a free moral agent and consequently gave him the power of choice and the opportunity to choose. With the power to fall, Adam also had the power to stand. There are always things to discourage and depress us, but there are at the same time things always to help us. Jesus proved to us that He can stand. It is to be observed that He did not employ more divinity, more divine power in His own fight than He will give any poor struggling soul in the fight with temptation. All the grace we need we can have. He will give sufficient grace to enable us to stand regardless of the weakness of humanity resulting from the fall. He knows how to succour them that are tempted. He has the wisdom, the grace, and the experience, too, with which to help us, having been tempted in all points like as we are, yet without sin. We have already covered some ground that will give us an idea of the best way to meet temptation. The main entrance for temptation is at the door of attention. Therefore, we should always guard this door with great care. Do not permit the attention to be centered upon any person, object, or mental picture that would have a tendency to arouse a feeling or desire that would, if satisfied, lead one astray. Often we see and hear more than is good for us. If someone makes an ugly remark about you, refuse to give it your attention. It might hurt you, forget it. If you see someone act in a way that is contemptible and reprehensible, do not allow yourself to feed mentally upon it unless there is hope to remedy the conditions. It has been said that there are two things about which we should never worry. One is the thing that we can help. If we can help it, do so and don't worry about it. The other one is something we cannot help. If we cannot help it, there is no use worrying. The same principle can be applied about the unpleasant conduct of people whom you know. We come across, let's send you comments via YouTube channel, etc., etc. Be armed against temptation by having the mind made up already as to what course you would take should such a temptation arise. But we might not know what temptation will arise. In all cases, however, we can have the mind settled to take the side of right to the extent of our knowledge of right in the case. We heard a man say, "Well, I do not know what I would do if a certain temptation should overtake me." That man was defeated before the battle. He should have come to a decision. Never admit that any temptation could be too strong for you if God adds His grace. It will be hard enough even then at times to keep the proper balance and poise under test. Never entertain a possibility of going back. Start to heaven to go on till you get there. Once you start the race, finish it to get that crown of life, that reward. Let the mind be settled on 2 points. First, be fixed in that you will never do wrong if you know it, and second, that you will never turn back once you start that race. Finish that race. Don't puff out or put out halfway and give up. However many trials and discouragements you meet, no matter what happens to you, what you're accused of, falsely accused of, etc., etc. A fixed mind is the greatest stay for the soul outside of the power and grace of God. We have no doubt that the purpose of Joseph was fixed not to sin against his God long before the agent of the devil made her attack upon him, or made his attack upon him. Okay, Joseph was not Joseph was fixed not to sin against his God long before the agent of the devil made her attack upon him. Instantly he made his escape because the matter was not a debatable question. A closed mind is a great asset in the matter of meeting wrong. Again, crush any desire that arises in the body or the mind or the soul that you know could not be satisfied without an act known to be questionable. Let no desire get too strong before you undertake to subdue it. You don't let it get too strong before you try to kill it, right? Or overcome it, or be victorious over it. The mistake made by most people is in seeing how far they can go without doing wrong before they check their desires or feelings. It's like Gandhi apparently lying with a whole lot of naked young females to see if he would get aroused. Why would he do that in the first place? Wouldn't he just avoid that? He was probably trying to see how if he would be tempted enough to fall, right, to sin, supposedly. It is a fatal thing to play with temptation. There is usually a time when any temptation could be easily overcome, but there is a later stage when a person often finds himself well nigh defeated before he begins to assert his power of resistance. You don't put yourself in that situation. From a personal experience, with a woman, she's at you all the time until you buckle. Say no and say it once, and the fight is over, or at least you are strengthened for the next attack of the same character. Any intelligent or well-informed soul can usually tell, and that almost instantly, whether a desire arising can be satisfied properly. If it cannot be so satisfied within legal and moral bounds, crush it, and crush it at once. Again, watch the will to see to it that you do not consent to anything that is wrong, or that is even questionable. Avoid the very appearance of evil. Regardless of the degree of the intensity of temptation, you have not lost your integrity unless you have consented to wrong, or to that sin, that evil, right? You are still approved of God. Men cannot avoid being tempted, but they can all refuse to yield to temptation. That's very true. Okay, temptation is going to come at you. You're going to be tempted, but you can resist it. You can refuse to yield to temptation, or to be tempted and then sin. Fall into sin, right? Or fall because of sin. Satan may put evil thoughts in the mind, but you have the power to dismiss them immediately, refusing to harbour them or to feed the mind upon them. So that's where you have to learn to say no. You have to discipline yourself to say no. I'm not going to do that. For it is written, if I look at a woman with lust in my mind, then I have committed adultery with her. There is an important fact to be noticed in this connection, namely that one is weakened by temptation, or is left stronger. The result that follows depends entirely upon the attitude we take toward the temptation. Resistance convinces the soul of its power to win, and lessens the dread of temptation, and increases the power of the soul over the desire that was the basis of the temptation. A temptation resisted grows weaker each time, and the soul correspondingly stronger. A temptation yielded to become stronger, and the soul weakened for the next fight. One of the alarming results following defeat is a tendency for one to lose confidence in himself or herself, even losing faith in his power to stick to anything. Don't give up, even if you do not always win in the fight. Try it again. Never give up. If you start to heaven and fall down every 10 feet, always try to fall face forward and get up at once and try it again. Let the mind be set to get the goal. That is the main thing. Lastly, we win by faith in God. Put your full trust in Him, your full hope in Him, that He will help you. Right? Pray that He will help you. Man is not able of himself to solve his problems and resist all temptations. Well, you can solve your problems, okay, but resisting temptation is very, very hard. God has promised not to leave us alone. He would never forsake us. Lo, I am with you always, even to the end of the world. This is the victory that overcometh the world, even our faith. We are told in the 4th chapter of the book of James to submit ourselves to God as well as to resist the devil. This is our hope. The power of God is sufficient for any and every occasion that overtakes us. We should have faith in His goodness, believing He is too good to permit us to suffer beyond that which is working for our own well-being. We should have faith in His wisdom, believing that God is too wise to make a mistake in His care and command over us. We should have faith in His power to keep us in the midst of the most trying condition. Have faith in God. Others may fail, He cannot fail. In all the centuries of the world, not one word of His promises has ever failed. He promised to keep that which we have committed unto Him. He will never suffer one of His promises to be unfulfilled.